to all of you who are here, all of you who are about to be here, here on the recorded line. My name is Ayize Jama-Everett. I am an assistant professor at Starr School for the Ministry. Since around 2005, 2006, I've been teaching an amazing class called The Sacred and the Substance, which looks at the role of substances, plants, animals, fungi, synthetic substances, and how they've been used around the world, and how they've been used in different communities. One of the absolute joys of that class is the amazing guest speakers that I've been able to pull in. This year, Starr King has decided that I can share some of my amazing speakers with the rest of the Starr King community and the rest of the world in a series called Psychedelics in the Seminary. This is our second interview guest speaker to come to this seminar, and I am so happy to introduce someone I consider a friend, Miss Mary Ann Eddowes. She began studying and recreating rituals based in traditional medicine from the Andean and Amazonian regions in Peru, and also from North America 28 years ago. She performed shamanic ceremonies with Wachuma and ran sweat lodges, as well as sound healings, offerings to Mother Earth, flower baths, and other rituals for the spiritual healing of humanity and the planet. She offers spiritual counseling, and since 2009, she's traveled to the US to offer healing ceremonies and rituals where she has a growing spiritual community. She's been an event organizer, or convention manager, for 34 years at the national and international level. And from 2005 to 2016, she organized 7 versions of the International Coca Leaf Forum in Peru, Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Colombia, to promote the good use of our sacred coca leaf as part of our ancestral Andean traditions for rituals as medicine and a nutritional supplement, and for the industrialization as an illicit mean of using this amazing natural resource. She's also incredibly funny, kind, and wise. So Mary Ann, welcome. I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you, Ayize. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you again, sharing what I have learned through these past 28 years and offering what I can to help others find their way, their path, their happiness, basically.
Yeah. You know, before we get into it, I just want to say if people have questions, there's a question and answer tab on the bottom. Feel free to put the questions in there. We'll definitely leave lots of room for questions later on. If you'd like to introduce yourself to other people on this lecture, please feel free to use the chat for that, your name, where you're chiming in from, anything like that. Mary Ann, I guess I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind telling everybody how you got started.
Yeah, well, I worked for the corporate world, both public and private sectors in Peru for nearly 30 years. And after that, well, in my last job, really, I was working for the Peruvian government in Peru to change our image after terrorism, after Shining Path ended. So we did a very beautiful job changing the image of Peru, attracting investments, tourism, and all that. And while I was there, I had got to the top of, having a good job, a position, name, money, everything society said I was supposed to have to feel happy. But I was not feeling happy. I was stressed, etc. So I started, I guess, inside me, like yelling to the universe, help. I really want to be able to, to say that from my heart that I am happy. And I just couldn't say it. I mean, it was impossible for me to express it because I knew it was not true. I was not feeling happy. And I didn't understand why. So in one of those trips, taking journalists to Cusco and other places in Peru to show them there was no terrorism and that tourism was possible, I met the one that would be one of my teachers.
Mhm.
And that's how I started without thinking twice. I didn't look for this path. It came to me. The
Mm.
teachers came to me, and they say that when you're ready, the teachers come. So I guess that's what happened. And the universe heard me, definitely. And since my first ceremony, I just said, oh my God, I'm finding all the answers I could not find anywhere else.
Mhm.
Um, I started releasing a lot of emotional garbage that I had been collecting for through all my life. And once I started releasing all that, I started finding happiness, and that I could say I felt happy.
Mhm.
And although our life has not been perfect, we've gone through some hardship and losing close members in the family for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And it has been intense. But this medicine holds me and helps me understand life and our process
Mhm.
as humans and then as spirit, uh, not to stay in the pain, in the sadness, in the grief, in things I cannot change.
Mm.
And so I am happy now. And I have understood that happiness is not about having a perfect life, as we think perfection is,
Mhm.
but being at peace with all you have had to experience.
Mhm.
That's what I have understood.
Mhm. You brought up a few terms that I want to make sure that we're clear on. And first, I want to let everybody know you're in Peru, right?
Yes,
So I'm sure laws around plant medicine are different there than they are in the United States.
yes,
But I'm wondering if you say, the medicine comes when you need it. And you were talking about teachers. And I know sometimes when people talk about medicine, they're talking about plants, and sometimes they're talking about people. When people are talking about teachers, sometimes they're talking about plants, and sometimes they're talking
yes,
about people. So I was wondering
yes,
if you could elaborate a little bit more about what do you mean when you say plants and when you say teachers and you say medicine?
yes. Well, we have physical teachers, humans, right? That more than teachers, we are guides. It's like we share what we have learned with others, so others can learn to walk their own paths.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is a path of empowerment, self-empowerment. We
Mm-hmm.
have given our power to everyone and to everything, I think, for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're seeing also in our governments and all this, what is happening at all those levels. So I think it's the time humanity has to, um, one, become totally responsible for your life, for all you are, you do, you think, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And also that it is time that we stop giving our power to others, and that we start knowing that it is our power, not to give away, but to complement, to share, to provide whatever you can
Mm-hmm.
for in service for the healing of the world, or for whatever you do. It's not about that everybody has to be in the spiritual path. It's about that from where you are, from what you do,
Mm-hmm.
just being conscious that service is the first thing we have to do
Mm-hmm.
to stay in a community, or to go back to a community. We have lost that sense of community as well.
Mm-hmm. How does the use of plant medicine help you stay in community?
Well, the first thing plant medicine does, and we call them teachers as well, um, because they have spirit as we do.
Mm-hmm.
All what is in nature has spirit. Plants, animals, elements, mountains, everything has spirit. So we connect with that spirit to be able to heal. The thing is, everything in nature helps us heal. Like the 4 elements help us heal, and everything out in nature. And that is why it's also green. Green is the ray for healing that we use to heal people. And that is the color of nature, mostly.
Mm.
Right? So I'm sorry I went out of track, I think.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So please remind me your question, because I think I really got out of the...
Sure. How do plants help you stay in community?
Yeah, so what especially Wachuma is the plant with which I work mainly, although I have done ayahuasca for personal teachings and healing. So what they do is they help us open the subconscious levels in an easier way and be able to peel layers to little by little get to the core of what is troubling us, what is causing blockages, what is causing situations, what trauma are we carrying, what fears are we carrying. Sometimes it's not only from this life, sometimes we carry things also from other lives. And so when we can understand what are we carrying, and that's what the medicine helps us see, is I can observe myself and see, what am I feeling? Why am I reacting like this when somebody says this? Why do I have such fear of altitude, of, risking myself flying or parachuting or things like that, that we get really scared. No, so there's a lot of things we carry in our memory, in our body, and in our spirit as well. So this medicine helps us go inside, learn to do self-observation. That is, instead of looking outside, instead of looking at everyone and saying this is like that, why is, why am I feeling like this because that person said something? Why am I reacting like this when I see this situation? What makes me get out of control? So you start noticing and finding the origin of things that are causing imbalances in your life. And that self-observation is how you start going towards self-knowledge. That is, the medicine teaches you a lot about unconditional love and to embrace yourself with that love in all you are, not only in the nice part you like to see or show, but also that part that needs attention and to be acknowledged, to be able to do something about it and bring it into balance. When that happens, when I can embrace myself with love and say, okay, I'm going to do this with myself. I'm going to see, what do I need to work on? What do I need to balance? What do I need to release? What do I need to forgive? What do I need to understand from another perspective? Then is when self-healing begins. And that self-healing, little by little, takes you to self-fulfillment or inner, realization. Like, I got to where I needed to be to feel better, to feel well. We are going to learn until the last day we are in these physical bodies, temples. We are going to learn to become better persons, etc., until the last day we're in these bodies. But little by little, gradually, we can get to a place where we feel much better with our lives, where we feel we are in charge of our lives, and that we stop letting others, take us here and there, and you allow it. Because what you also learn with this plant is whatever is happening to you is because you are allowing it or accepting it. And we are divine beings, so we can manifest otherwise. Sorry.
No. There's no apologies necessary. I think it's great. I'm wondering if you can, maybe for the audience, if you could, just talk a little bit about, what Wachuma is, just on a very basic level. But then also, you told me a while ago that you don't really utilize medicine anymore for yourself. And I was wondering if you could I just think it's a really interesting path in terms of like your own personal medicine story. And I'm wondering if you'd feel comfortable sharing that.
Sure, yes. So Wachuma is the Quechua name for the cactus, better known as San Pedro. It is from the same family of the peyote. They are cousins. They belong to the same family, although they are slightly different in the way they work. I don't know that much about peyote. I only drank once many years ago, but I've taken Wachuma for 18 years on a row until I was 53. Now I'm turning 65 in 2 months. So since then, 12 years ago, I stopped because the medicine said I should stop. So why did I stop? Because the medicine said, I taught you all you had to know. Now you need to practice, which is interesting because while you drink the medicine and you're in ceremonies, like you're so fast to catch up on everything that is happening, who needs help, what is going on. So it's like you immediately go, even before the person knows they're needing help, you're there, right? Mm-hmm. So I did ceremony for me when I turned 53, just me and the medicine. And it told me, you are not going to drink it anymore. This is the last time. And I said, okay, but why? And it told me that. So teachers are not with us forever. Teachers are with us until we can walk on our own, until we're ready to fly on our own. And so after 18 years of taking the medicine and working with it, it was the time for me to trust myself that I could graduate, that I could graduate and that I was ready to use all my, let's say, power about intuition, feeling, receiving information from spirit, from the medicine, about the person or the people in the group that I am working with. And it's been amazing. At the beginning, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do in my first ceremony without drinking the medicine? And suddenly I was impressed. I was walking in between the people that had drank the medicine, and I could feel the vibration like while I was walking, I could feel the vibration of the medicine. Mm-hmm. And so, you start just releasing again fears of not being ready, etc. Mm-hmm. No, and so what Wachuma for me is has like 3 main functions. First, I'll explain what Wachuma means. Wachuma is a Quechua word. Wach means out of or another. Uma means head. So what it does is shift the perspective of how you see life, how you handle what comes to you inside, how you process it. So it also reminds us that and reconnects us with the divine source. We are divine because we come from that source and we go back to that source when we leave this physical temple. Mm-hmm. So it is interesting how you become more aware of that, of who you are in essence. Mm. And that also gives you more power in a good way. Power is not to be misused. Power is to use it in a good way. Mm-hmm. And again, in service, community, etc. So Wachuma, they say, and they showed me many years ago in a vision in ceremony, that it comes from the Pleiades, from the constellation of the Pleiades. It's a star plant. that came to remind us we are stars.
Hmm.
And that essence, I found it very interesting to acknowledge. Like, wow, yeah, we're much more than a physical body. And we know so much more than our physical mind.
Mm. You know, just to add, from what I remember, you said you started with ayahuasca.
No, I started with Wachuma, and after 7 years, I did ayahuasca.
Then you did ayahuasca. For some reason, I remember you saying like the ayahuasca somehow was preparing you for Wachuma, but maybe no.
No, I started 7 years of Wachuma. I
Gotcha.
then did ayahuasca, and I was asking the medicine, why am I here? I didn't ask to be an ayahuasca healer. I am not looking for that. So the medicine, the ayahuasca said, it's okay. If you can work with me and bear my vibration, you will be strong in any other medicine you practice or use.
Gotcha.
And yes, I mean, ayahuasca could get, deep into the worst of my fears, I guess, which was interesting and good. Both have helped me like a complement of each other. But definitely, I feel Wachuma is the medicine with which I feel comfortable guiding, running ceremonies. I feel I know it better than ayahuasca.
And that's perfect lead in, because I wanted to talk a little bit about your training. You know, you use Wachuma, but you don't you haven't like taken in like indigenous sort of like Quiche sort of like shamanistic practices, like and when I talk to students, a lot of students in the class wonder how can they do medicine work without doing like cultural appropriation, right? And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, I've had a lot of thoughts around that, especially especially being considered white here. I'm not considered native. And this is very interesting because I understand and I respect native traditions. And I have no intention of thinking I can do the same they do, because they have learned for centuries, in their families, generation after generation, so much information that I would never be able to learn in a life, in one life, right? So when I started in this path, and sometimes they wouldn't want me to participate or talk because I was white and not native. They wouldn't even want me to make an offering because I was not native. So I was saying, okay, how am I supposed to walk this path, having been taught by native people? And so the same plant, little by little, started showing me how to do my own medicine based on what I had learned. But what I do is completely, let's say, different from what my teachers do, the ways they do. And we all evolve. If my teachers before had a big altar and carried it everywhere like I did, now we walk without altars because we are our altars. So, little by little, we start walking our paths, and we have the medicine in us. We can use things, instruments, elements, but the medicine is in you in the end. And so Wachuma not only connects you with that divinity inside you that teaches you that you can manifest anything you desire because you have that power. It's about, again, releasing blockages, fears, and stagnant ideas of that you cannot do something. And the medicine teaches you that you can. Helps you find the answers inside you and empower yourself, because it's not the medicine, it's you that finds all that power inside you with the help of the medicine. And the other thing is that the medicine teaches you whatever you need to know. That is, if you have any type of job, suddenly it starts giving you ideas, creativity. Look, you can do this way, or etc., and find it much more productive or better, right? The same is with the medicine. It started telling me, do sound healing, okay. And at the beginning, I was feeling, oh my God, my voice changes so much. They're going to think I'm crazy, like I sound like a grandfather, or I sound, like a grandmother or whatever. So it was like, oh my God, what am I doing? So in the end, I had to wait 10 years. The spirit was only saying, do what we tell you with faith. You don't need to know more. Just do. So I was, okay, I'll channel, I'll chant, I do whatever I have to do. 10 years after, they explained me what was I doing with sound healing. And then with the offerings, I learned with Andean people and with the elements they use. But if I travel, and I like doing offerings everywhere I go, to ask spirits, permission to go into their spaces, either in my country in different parts, or when I travel abroad, I always ask permission to go in, to have a good trip, a good experience, and all that.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of humility. I'm hearing a lot of patience, right? That, there's not, to wait 10 years to hear how to move, with the plant.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You said like 7 years with, ayahuasca, which wasn't your favorite, but like that's what the plant was telling you. It seems like, in order to at least to progress in your path, it requires a lot of slowing down. That things don't happen as quickly as they do in the in the rest of the world. I guess I'm wondering, is there any caution? Because as in the United States now, the sort of psychedelic renaissance is sort of coming up, and there's a whole bunch of people who are really excited about plant medicine. And in some ways it's really good. And in some ways I'm also seeing, I'm not one to say who should or shouldn't, but I'm seeing some scary behavior in folks. I'm seeing a lot of, like I said before, cultural appropriation. I'm seeing, folks who haven't done their own healing work calling themselves healers. I guess I'm wondering, like, is that stuff that you've encountered? And if so, how have you dealt with that?
Yes. Well, I took 10 years learning with my teachers before I started working on my own. 10 years.
A decade.
So the thing is, unluckily, it's not only those who look for the medicine, but those who give the medicine and are not respecting themselves, giving away their knowledge, telling people that in a month or in 3 months you can be a shaman. First, shaman is a big word. It's a big word. And shamans have been those who could, call upon the thunder and the rain, and that had that deep connection with all the elements, with nature, with the universe, with the cosmos. I am learning that path. I am 28 years in this path, but what I know is little. It's not that I don't know. I know what I know, but I know there's much more to learn and to understand. But again, it's not about running towards it, because then you are like skipping, steps that you need to really go deep into that knowledge, go deep into that understanding, and be respectful with yourself, with others, with the medicine. This is not something you do for fun, for having a super trip. And that was one of the things I would always say when I started working on my own. And I am grateful that I have always been so careful. I've never had people going crazy. I always prayed, please send me, people that are ready, that are respectful. Send me, the right people. And I've never had people having a bad ceremony, let's say, no? But because I've always been careful too. Not thinking I know more or that I am more, because that's when you lose it, you know? That's when you lose it. So it's just being there, present, listening, and not trying to. Is it about feeding your ego or feeding your spirit? It's completely different. And yes, I've seen a lot of people, especially with ayahuasca, that they think that because they did ayahuasca 3 months, now they can run ceremonies. And for me, if I took 10 years to learn before practicing on my own, was because I felt the big responsibility of having people's lives in your hands. Because it's not only the physical body, it's the spirit, it's the emotions, it's the mind, it's all of it. You know, all the universe, the human universe that we are, each one of us. So this is not a joke. This is not something you can be playing with. I've seen people that have been unrespectful to the medicine, and the medicine gives them the lesson. You don't have to do anything. The medicine takes care of those who are unrespectful to them, you know? And in general, you know, I am always very clear. If it is not the moment for you to take medicine, it's not for me about having one person more and paying for it. I'm not, that's not the point. The point is, if you're ready, I'm happy to give you the medicine. If it is not the right time, maybe you need to microdose first. Maybe you need to go to a psychologist first, because you need to like settle your mind frame before doing plants. Because I've seen people drinking plants, especially ayahuasca, and I say, why, after so many years of that person is drinking, I don't see that that person is doing a deep healing. Because they get lost in visions, you know, again, feeding the ego instead of feeding your spirit, and of course, being honest with yourself to look at yourself. And that's what I like of Watuma, that is more, not only gentle, but very humble and low profile, and silently is doing the work. And yes, I see more people attracted to ayahuasca because of all the visions and all the things that come with it. But ayahuasca is supposed to, you drink it to have the connection and the understanding and how you can heal. But again, it depends also on who is running the ceremony. How do you introduce people to the medicine? How should they approach the medicine?
You know, I think one thing you're adding to this that I don't hear a lot of, and I'm really glad you said it, was that, you know, with guides or healers, or, you know, I'm really resistant to calling a lot of people shamans, but if they want to call themselves shamans, fine, that you're dealing with people's lives. And I think what's happening in the US, you know, because of so much of the medical model and so much of the psychological model, you know, I think on some levels, people are like, well, the worst that'll happen is a bad trip, or the worst that'll happen is like someone will be uncomfortable, as opposed to like, no, this is actually an existential issue that we're dealing with on a regular basis. But I'm wondering if we can shift to another plant. And this one's a little more complicated, but you're an expert on this, I think. And it's the coca leaf. You know, and I'll say that, you know, in the US, especially within Black communities, you know, we didn't have access to the coca leaf. We had access to cocaine, and we had access to crack. And, you know, the scar that cocaine and crack, not just the plants, not just the substances, but the laws associated with those substances, the scars that those laws have left in the Black community are still being felt, right? And yet your approach to coca is completely and totally different. And I'm wondering, one, if you could tell people a little bit about what you think are the benefits of coca, but also on a personal level, like on an individual level, but also on a societal level. How do we deal with the benefits of coca and the problematic issues that arise with cocaine and crack?
Well, it's interesting because whatever is in nature, if you use it in a good way, it's going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
If you use it in a bad way, it's going to go against you. So the coca leaf as a whole is the best medicine we have.
Mm.
It's like a team of doctors in our body. It helps with respiratory system, nervous system, digestive system. It is good for joint arthritis, rheumatism, arthrosis. It helps with the pain, and then osteoporosis, because of the high amount of vegetal calcium it contains that is much more easily absorbed by the body. And it's good for anemia, diabetes, gastritis, gives you natural energy. Therefore, it helps you get out of depression, anxiety, anguish, and it is an amazing spirit that connects with your spirit as well.
Mm-hmm.
And gives you information, as every plant. The plants talk to you when you listen to them. And that's how you learn how to work with them.
Mm.
So, as to just a parenthesis, as you asked me, and I didn't completely answer about the plants and how you work with them, and what do they give you in information and in the ways you practice. So the wachuma, ayahuasca, coca, tobacco, mushrooms, all these plants are there for us to use them in a good way. But as humans, we think we know better. So just because one person isolated cocaine, which is one of the 14 or more alkaloids the coca contains, but that it transforms into egno-9. I mean, there are a lot of words there that means it transforms in your body, and it's not what you know as cocaine, which is hydrochloride of cocaine, really. And that is mixed with over 18 chemicals, really bad chemicals, acetone, kerosene, etc., like 18 chemicals. So it's completely different. Cocaine by itself is excellent for medical use.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best anticoagulant, anesthetic, anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
So we have not only the coca leaves, but throughout the years, a woman in Cusco that is now over 90 years old, she started using the coca leaf and grinding it to help children that were undernourished.
Mm-hmm.
And she got excellent results.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started making cakes and bread and biscuits and candy. And you find that when you come. When you come to Peru, you can find all those products, because coca, wachuma, ayahuasca here are legal. They are part of our traditional medicine as plants. So the coca is not only a plant that can help you in nutrition and in healing yourself, but also is an oracle that since ancient times, they have read the coca leaves to see what is going on with a person. Sometimes they still use the coca leaves to find when they lose their, an animal of their herd. of if somebody stole them something from them, etc. And it is also used in offerings to Mother Earth. The coca leaf is the connector, the one that connects our prayers with the Great Spirit.
So it sounds like coca in Peru was a sacred plant.
It has always been a sacred plant, yes.
So how do you think we got to this place with cocaine now? Like what happened? Like how come?
Well, briefly, and not being an expert of what has happened, but let's say at the beginning of the 1900s, we in Europe and in different parts in the States and here, there were excellent products made with coca. There was a syrup for babies, for coughing.
Right.
There were pills with borax and cocaine for your throat for adults. I have a friend that he's nearly 90 years old. He has chewed coca all his life. He's in perfect conditions in his mind and everything, no? And he would say, "Mother, you have given me cocaine since I was a kid." Because I remember my grandma also using that, no? And she would give us for the throat when we had problems. They would always give us that. So, and there were other products, but all for medical use. Even the Coca-Cola was a medicine when it began. Now it still uses the name because I mean, there's a lot of people claiming that Coca-Cola should change the name. One, they still buy the Coca from Bolivia, I think, and some from Peru, but they don't use it for the Coca-Cola anymore. They are using caffeine.
Right.
And so it lost the properties it had, you see? But, and then there was a wine, Mariani wine, that the Pope used to drink. So we've had, and we still have now, people are again doing coca wine, beer, and, you know, different things. Toothpaste, soap, shampoo.
So right. So it's funny, while the US is having the sort of psychedelic renaissance, it sounds like Peru is coming back to trying to find a way of utilizing this plant in a way that's not as destructive as cocaine has been when it comes to export.
Yeah, well, this has been a movement we started like in 2005. There have always been people defending the good use of the coca and all its goodness. But let's say that in 2005, when we started doing the coca forums, we started creating a community because people were working, but everyone was working on their own. So we started finding people that were doing things around the coca. And then after the first coca forum, a lot of products started coming out. People, you know, making tests and trying and seeing how did it work in Colombia, in Argentina, in Bolivia, in Peru, even a little in Ecuador, because Ecuador lost a lot around the coca. They didn't, like, it's illegal in Ecuador, for example. No,
it's just so fascinating. You know, we have these these movements with plants, you know, and some were like, you know, these are demon drugs, these are bad for you, da da da, and then they come back, oh, this is a great medicine, this is awesome for you, and then, oh, this is a good party thing, whatever, and no, this is illegal, it's totally bad, and then, you know, it's like we just do this over and over and over again. I want to remind people that they can put questions in the Q&A. If it's okay, I want to ask you some of the questions that are on here, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay. So the first one is from an anonymous attendee. They say, I wonder about the role of entity encounters in these situations. If one meets the same entity in more than one encounter, is there any empirical evidence that suggests that they maintain sentient continuity? And if so, do they typically take on teacher roles? For example, has anyone noticed continuations from previous conversations? So so if someone encounters a spirit or an entity in a journey, is there some continuity? Like, is there some consistency between one journey and the next? Or maybe like, between different people or like during the same journey?
Yeah. Well, there are so many spirits out there that want to help us and connect with us. Maybe some people will have that type of relationship with the spirit. It can happen, I guess.
Mhm.
Or, it's just that they come when you need them, either information, healing, um, whatever they can offer us, and that we need it. Personally, I have spirits that have like come through the years. Like I have received more protections for
Mhm.
my work, and they are with me all the time. Or like the spirits I channel, I have spirits that are always coming through me with songs, but others come just when I am in a different place. Suddenly there are spirits and they want to sing through me, but then they won't be with me. They are just with me there at that moment.
Mhm.
Um, but it can happen, I guess, that you keep a permanent connection, like people that channel, for example, information, like from Cryon or other spirits or ascended beings that channel through different people, right? Send messages through
Mhm.
different people. That is a connection that seems to be permanent with certain people with that spirit,
Mhm.
right? But
Do you have any experience with people encountering negative spirits or harmful spirits while they're doing medicine work?
it may happen, but it is more because of how you are. That is,
Can you say more?
I have this example of a woman. The only ceremony I was with my teachers, not me running the ceremony, with my teachers. I was learning, and we had this woman that came to ceremony that was in very deep levels of perversion, like with herself, like that lack of love, and that nothing was enough for her, I guess. And so she wanted to try everything, and she was going like out of all limits in whatever she was doing. So that night, she was like saying horrible things all through the ceremony. And her husband was there. And in my innocence, I felt I had to be like I was standing in between them for some reason. Like protecting him, I don't know. The thing is, um, all night she was like trying to break the circle of love, saying horrible things, like The Exorcist. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm in the movie. No, like it was horrible. She was like saying horrible things. I was like waiting for her head to crack, go around. So I tell you. So in at 5 in the morning, my teachers say, come tell her we are closing the ceremony.
Mm.
So I was walking very sweet and nice, calling her name, say, and putting my hands out for her to hold me and help her stand up.
Mm.
So I said, okay, let's go. We're finishing the ceremony. And she grabbed my hands and she started like, and I was like, ah. Oh my God. I was so scared. So it was like in the 90s, at the end of the 90s, 1997, 1998. And I was like, at that moment, I was just yelling, scared, and she was like, trying to scare me. So suddenly I stopped and I squeezed her hands back. And the only thing that came out of me was to tell her, good always like triumphs over evil 3 times.
Mm.
And she became just quiet and released my hands. I couldn't walk. I mean, I was trembling from the hair to the toe. And I was like walking like, and my teachers were laughing, looking at me like the most courageous coward. No, like
But I mean, I love, thank you for telling that story, because I think we don't, especially people who work as guides, we don't share enough of our mistakes or our foibles, or like we don't share as much. So people just look and they assume like, oh, this person's perfect and they've been doing it perfectly the whole time. But that's how you learn.
well, no, and people say, oh, I want to be in her shoes. Yeah, but you don't know all what I've had to go through to be where I am and be who I am now.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
It's not
talking.
been easy. It's been, well, all the losses, and that is, this path is, the more you go ahead, the challenges are bigger.
That's what I keep telling people who are like, interested in this work. I'm like, especially people who say they want to be a shaman. I'm like, in a lot of places, you don't want to be a shaman. Like you have to be like chosen, which means like you have to like get really sick, or people around you get sick and die, or, easy way to be a shaman, you get struck by lightning. You're chosen, right? That's a choice from above that you are
Yeah.
the one. So if you're willing to get struck by lightning and deal with that, then maybe you might be ready to begin this journey. But like, it's not always easy, I don't think. And I don't think
It's
that,
never easy to walk this path.
yeah, I don't think that's fully understood by people. Um,
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
yeah. Somebody's asking, how are systems of oppression that take away and deny power held in this view of individual power? So I think before you were saying like, it's like, you're saying it's like everything, like you can manifest, right? Like you can manifest this. But there's things like racism, sexism, homophobia, right? Like those things are real, right? So how do you balance individual power with these bigger societal things that impact us?
Well, I'm a woman, and I worked with a lot of men, and I was the only woman
Mhm.
when I was working, with big entrepreneurs, with the ministers, with the president. I mean, always with important people. And one thing I learned is, I don't care if you're the president. I deserve the same respect you do
Mhm.
on one side. So you are not less than anyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what color, what gender, what social class. We're all the same. This ridiculousness of society, of what is your name and how many cars you have and how much money do you have in the bank, how many houses. It's just, it's good if you can have it, but that is not what makes you a good person or a happy person.
Mhm. And how
What
do you,
makes you a good person, a happy person, is feeling well with yourself and with everything and everyone.
Mhm. And then what do you say to people who say like, these systematic forms of oppression
Mm.
are keeping people from the medicine, or keeping people from engaging in a way that's truly healing?
Well, there's one thing. Uh, there is power used in such a bad way nowadays. And those who have the power to make things happen in one way or another don't want people to awaken,
Mm,
because then they cannot manipulate them.
mm,
And this type of medicine gives you that freedom,
mm,
even of, being in the system, because we cannot be out of the system, but in a way we can be out of the system, doing what we do because it is good for us. And here there is no race or gender or anything that is important. What is important is you're a human being that wants to come and heal. That is what is important. And the medicine doesn't discern only if you're ready or not, but it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, etc. And the thing is, the more we empower ourselves, so that we find that power inside ourselves, the less we're going to allow anyone to manipulate us. We are manipulated already, like with the vaccines and all this, really. No, and we have to get the vaccines. Like here, they have put a law that people over 40 years old, we need the 3 vaccines, or we cannot go into malls and supermarkets and things like that. That is discrimination for me. And they are forcing us to do something we are waiting to see if we don't have to do it. But in the end, okay, I got the booster. No, so there are things sometimes we cannot avoid. But for me, we are more than 3 or 4 people in governments, in positions of power, but we still allow them to decide for us. But we are more. We are more as population. I mean, we're having a hard time here with our president. So I tell you, things are crazy here now with all the corruption just coming out. But it seems like the planets, the way they are aligning now, is all over the world, not only in Peru, is allowing to open that box of Pandora and all that corruption that has been there for so many years. And all these people that have been in those positions of power, they will not be able to continue. People are opening their eyes now with all the social media and all the things that we know everything when it happens. So this is the moment for big changes, really, in the way we are living our lives and the way things are for everybody in the planet. We need community, and we need a good distribution of money, of resources, and respect for every single human being and any other living being in our planet.
I hear you. Amen. Somebody asked, how often were you in ceremony with Wachuma when you were still partaking of the medicine?
There is not like a flow, like I'm going to drink 3 months, like every week or things like that. Medicine, this type of medicine, plant medicine, when it is the time, you will drink it. When it is not the time, even though you want to drink, something will happen and there will not be ceremony. Because the plants call you more than you looking for them. And you may look for them and may access them, but the thing is, what are you going to get depending on how you are approaching it?
Interesting. Yeah, I think that approach in the US now, in the psychedelic community, they talk about set and setting, but I don't think that's enough. I don't think those are big enough concepts when it comes to medicine to think about when, where, why, how people take and how people are called, which is why I'm really glad we're having this conversation in the seminary, because I feel like, at least the notion of calling people are familiar with in seminary.
Yeah, it's important. I always like to talk with people and, before giving medicine, I like to explain them. This is the way it works. This is what you can expect. And again, no expectations, but intentions on what you want to work with. So you allow the medicine to show you what you need and not stop it from showing you. Because we are used to we think we have to control everything. And what the medicine teaches you is to flow with everything, not to control it, but to flow.
I'm going to quote you on that one. Someone's asking, they say, I'm close to some principles of indigenous use of peyote and other mushrooms used as medicine in the Mexican context. However, I'd like to ask you if you can recommend some bibliography about the principles of ayahuasca and Wachuma. Do you have any books or writings that you can recommend for folks?
Well, remember the Plants of the Gods, that book. But there's a lot of information on ayahuasca books that have been written. Let me see, I think I have a few. here that I can find out and send you the names.
Sure. I plan to
But
look
yes,
at it.
ayahuasca has a lot of literature.
Mhm.
Wachuma, not so much, again, because it's, more low profile. It's interesting. But Plants of the Gods has some information not only on those plants, but on other plants. That's a good book. And I'll see what else I sent you last time, and plus others that I may find.
And someone else is asking, I mean, I can answer this one. Is Wachuma legal to grow in the US? Yes, it's totally legal to grow in the US.
Yes, you can grow it. I mean, you can buy it, in the nurseries as ornamental plant. That's the law
So
there.
it's an ornamental plant. Technically, you're not supposed to use it for anything other than it looks good in the front yard.
Yeah, but no, it doesn't only look good, it's an excellent guardian.
Mhm.
It protects your house.
It's good to know.
Yes, well, you come here all over the place, you'll see a lot of Wachuma outside houses because people know they are good guardians. So we all have Wachuma growing.
Somebody's asking what efforts are being made to legalize coca leaf in other Andean countries and international recognition.
Mm, It's a long road. I was even in the United Nations. In 2016, there was this World Forum on Drugs in New York. So I went there. So I want to see how this works. And sadly, well, the same people are in those positions. They don't want to recognize that over 40 years of worthless policies, they don't want to recognize they have failed. One. Two, they don't want to lose their jobs, what gives them money. So while they are there, little advance has been made with all the proposals. I mean, there are so many groups at international levels that work on drug policy reform. Tons, and I know a lot of them. But it's so painfully slow to try to break through the door because the interests are too big. That's the thing, unluckily. That doesn't mean I keep hopeful that one day we'll be able to put the plant medicines in a good space where they deserve. But pharmaceuticals are another, big problem against traditional medicine. They don't want people to heal. They want people to keep sick so they can sell their yucky stuff.
Yeah.
I always pray that I can always, heal with natural medicine. Because, I mean, I've seen so much suffering with the hospitals and the way they treat them and how medications can ruin some organ while saying they are fixing one. So I don't say it doesn't work, but I feel a complement of both medicines would be the best thing for healing people faster in all aspects.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you another question after this one based off of that. But someone else is asking, what's your observation of how the ego can get inflated as a result of taking medicine? I'm assuming plant medicine.
It's a big risk if you approach it with your ego and not with your heart. This medicine asks you to approach it with an open heart and an open mind. This plant opens new neural pathways that have been dormant since we were born. Since we come into these bodies, our spiritual memory, let's say, all the information we have and we know a spirit is like erased. Not erased, I would say like hidden. And these medicines help us recover all that knowledge.
And so if that's coming through the brain and if it's coming through an intellectual process, you know, it makes sense.
It's easy to inflate your ego with this. It's very easy. And I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen it in a lot of people. And I am grateful that I could also see and learn from other people's mistakes and defects,
Mhm.
even my teachers. They're human, they're all their humanity. I am grateful because something I think I've learned um, is about integrity, because that's the word. That's a key word for anything you do in your life.
Mhm.
But in this path, for me, is very important. Integrity. That means keep your energy centered and clear and clean. Because I've seen, and luckily, especially in men, healers, is always this thing of sexual uh, inappropriate advancements.
Mhm.
No?
Yeah.
I've been always like very fast with that. So you're not, my teachers, you're not doing this with me. I'm sorry. I am very clear. And I would always talk to women and say, you don't accept anything is not good for you. Nothing that you don't feel is good for you, you have to say yes. You can say no. Because unluckily, that is something that I've seen in men healers is they get lost with sexual energies, with money, with power.
Mhm.
I don't say women don't, they can, but I've seen it more in men. I haven't seen women, trying to. But then there's the other side, that those who come in search of healing, some also want the power of the healer.
Right.
So they make the approach,
Right.
So it's both ways. So for me, it's integrity. We are doing this in this way, and that's it. No fooling around, no playing, no hugging more than necessary. Like,
Mhm.
I hug when the person really needs a hug, but I am not going to be hugging you the whole day.
Mhm.
Like Christina, my cousin, would always say, "You're not a hugger." No, because I think I will hug when I think it is necessary.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you start like causing distortions
Yeah.
in the energy and in the relationship you are creating with the
Yeah.
people.
There's been some big cases in the U.S. recently about exactly just that. A lot of you know, and, you know, luminaries in the psychedelic field. It's just coming out that there's been a history, decades long history of sexual abuse, sexual inappropriateness,
Mm-hmm.
clients. And again, that centeredness, right? That that I call it humility, that like this is not, I say, it's not my work, it's God's work, like I'm just the hands. Like I'm not doing anything more than what I'm being led to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you start coming from a place of ego, when you start coming from a place of I am doing this, I am healing, I am the one, it's easy for those very human temptations, influences to
Oh
get.
yeah, yeah. You can get lost easily. Again, I don't know. I started when I was 36. Um, and yes, of course, that game of I was young and the teachers would ha 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 make fun or whatever. But it was like, I am not doing this, this game. I am not going into the game. Things are like this for me. That's it. And yeah, little by little, I wouldn't allow them to do anything that was wrong with women when we had women in our groups. So in the end, they didn't want to work with me.
I mean, it's a really good point to bring up. I've even seen things online that say, is it okay to have sex with your shaman? And I'm like, okay, well, have that conversation later.
Yeah, it depends on you, but
Right.
it's not, I mean, those are games, and those games not necessarily end well
Mhm.
because you're playing
Right.
with fire, you're playing with energies and
Yeah.
not in the right way.
Yeah.
I've seen that too many times with too many people.
Yeah. I want to
Yeah.
raise up one more question, and then I have a question for you. I heard that the music, this is from someone else. I've heard that the music and or drumming is often sacred in these journeys. Have you perceived that the music used in these journeys is considered to remain sacred outside of the journey? And similarly, is it considered sacrilege to listen to this music, say on recorded albums, outside of a journey context?
I don't think it's a sacrilege. I mean, you can hear, relaxing music, healing music anytime you want. It's always going to be good. Music always helps heal, balance energies, clear energies, because the sound is realigning your energy. That's what sound does, right? And of course, there are people that have recorded songs from their ceremonies, and yes, you can hear them again. But of course, what is the context? You will see it in a meditation situation, something like that, or be doing something and just hearing it. It's not a sacrilege. But again, it's about what is right and what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fine line between what is right and what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't think it's bad. It's funny because people always, for years, I want to record your songs. And I always say, well, yeah, but it's funny because deep inside me, I don't feel I should record my songs, in the sense that my songs are not my songs. I channel spirits, and they will never be the same. They are always changing because of the energy of the people I am, healing at that point, the group or the person, if it's, an individual session.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I feel that I don't know how my songs that are made with a specific intention in ceremony, how would they work if somebody would just hear them? Would they heal? Would they feel? Some people say that just hearing, they relax. Okay. No? I don't know.
Right. But I hear what you're saying. Like it's for a specific space, specific time, I don't know, sacrilege, but maybe just off, like just doesn't sound right. One more
Sometimes
question.
you can hear it while you're driving,
Yeah, it may not be the best time.
Yeah, like
Relax. All right, one more question for the crowd, and then I have a question for you, and then we're gonna wrap
okay.
up. Someone says, I heard that if you're not grounded before you pursue higher dimensions, it's harder to integrate higher wisdom. What do you think?
Yes, you need to keep grounded and connected to the cosmos, both, and centered. So both energies, the cosmos and Mother Earth energies, come into us, and they like click and link in our solar plexus. That is where our center is, right? So I don't know. Some things it's like you have to find your own answers. I can say something, but maybe that is not your truth, or not what you feel is what would be right for you, etc. I don't know. It's some things. There are songs I don't like, for example. I feel they are not true. Like the person, because I know the person, I don't like hearing his songs, because I know his life. I know how he has been a very bad husband, but he's a healer. So I cannot respect a person like that. And I don't believe in the healing properties of his songs, because I don't believe he has healed himself even. Because yes, there's a lot of people healing others, but they are not healing themselves. And how can you not heal yourself and try to help others heal? Because for me, this is a path of not a lot of words, but of being a good example. You are your living prayer, or you are just mimicking whatever, trying to be something that is not your essence.
Mhm. So I have one question for you.
Excuse me.
Yeah. You
A
know,
little water.
only one this whole time. I'm impressed. You know, I'm sure you're aware of like the current psychedelic renaissance in the States now, and all these different states, you know, voting to decriminalize or in some way legalize different substances, and you know, different companies, you know, starting novel new compounds and the whole like. I wonder if there are any lessons that you would want to make sure that everybody thought about or kept into frame. I mean, I really appreciate what you just said. Like everybody's truth is their own, right? You have your point of view, and you know, if people don't, if it's not, that doesn't ring true for somebody else, that's okay. But you know, you've been doing this for a while, you know, on a personal level, on a community level, and on an international level. I wonder if there are any lessons that you think that people should just might want to pay attention to, given the excitement and the fervor that's going on with psychedelics in the US today.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, it's not about what is it like the trend now, etc. These are plants that have been here since very ancient times, as part of what the universe and the cosmos have brought here for us to awaken to all that knowledge we keep. That is sacred. This is not something you do for fun. This is something you do to evolve a spirit. And this here is our university, to evolve a spirit, to understand what really unconditional love is. And right now we are in a moment in the planet where we really need to put so much more love, having so much craziness, thinking that you can kill people and create wars just because you want more power, just because you are insane in your mind, and you think everybody wants to attack you, but you're the one attacking. No, we need to change as humanity. We cannot continue living like this. We need to understand that community is what holds us. And when we are all together and we all support each other, nobody should lack anything, especially love, but also, you know, material things, um, company, space, you know,
Care.
where you know that you're held. People need to feel they are held.
Mhm.
And that is what this medicine teaches us about, is community, is integrity, is respect, is love, is honesty, to look at yourself
Mhm.
and not hide from yourself. And that's what I like from Wachuma, different to ayahuasca. It's like Wachuma said, you want to hide from yourself? Fool, this is you.
Mhm.
You see how you're acting, you see what you're doing, then how do you want things to be different if you are not changing where you need to change?
Mhm.
We all have to look at ourselves. I have to look at myself, and I look at myself every day still, because
Mhm.
we can always do something better, or we can be more aware of something with our children, with our partners, with the people we work with or that work for us, you know, our neighbors, the street, the woman that sweeps the street. How many people say hello to that person? Every day I go down, I say, good morning, lady, because she's cleaning my street. She's keeping my space beautiful and tidy for me. So how can I show my appreciation?
Mhm.
So if I have something, I give her one day, come, I'm going to invite you an ice cream, something she cannot pay. I mean, an ice cream that is an expensive ice cream, not
Yeah.
a $1 ice cream, right? Because she cannot pay it. But if I can give her that pleasure, I am so happy to do it.
Mhm.
And I say hello to everybody that does something in our community for us. You know, it's important. In that way, we start changing and we know we're not alone.
Mhm.
And that it doesn't matter, again, what color, gender, social class, etc. you come from. Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
We're all the same. And because I have understood that I have been Black, Native American, Andean, etc., no Greek, Egyptian, I can have been anything of that. So where's the difference?
Yeah.
Where's the difference? We're all the same. And I have maybe have done horrible things in a past life, like many other people. In this life, I try to be a better person.
Yeah.
We have all gone through all that in different ways and in different lives. So that taught me not to judge others easily. And because who am I to judge someone because they're doing something terrible? That doesn't mean I cannot get pissed off or things like that. But anyway, it's
Right.
like I could have done that maybe in a past life, who knows? So who am I to throw the first stone saying you are guilty?
I mean, it's so funny, you know, like I ask you about the psychedelic community, and what you talk about is community, period. Right. And I think it's a really good point. I think how we live in community in general indicates what happens next with all of this stuff. That if we aren't kind to each other, if we aren't compassionate for each other, if we aren't caring for each other in all aspects, then adding medicine isn't going to do anything but increase what's already there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be done um, with consciousness, with respect.
Yeah. I want to respect your time and first and foremost say thank you. This was just hour and a half, just flew by. I really appreciate your time. Is there a way that people can support you or follow you or learn more about you? Is there like like people to have your email or what's best?
Yeah, sure. You can forward them my email. I am in Facebook as Mary Ann Eddowes, in Instagram that I'm not that good using it, but sometimes I post some pictures. That's not from, my daughter is much better with that than me. And
I'll put your email in the chat if that's okay.
yeah, sure. And there's a blog that I have to update. Soon I should have a website. There are several people trying to help me with that. Um, you know, I don't, it's not my specialty. I'm not technological, and yeah, there's so much to do, right?
Yes,
So, but I know the help comes at the right moment.
exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for showing up. Thank everybody who hung in with us. I hope you learned as much as I did. I hope you keep coming back for Psychedelics in the Seminary lecture series. Our next one is March 29th, where we'll have Hunt Priest and Zach Commence, both religious leaders who were part of the famous John Hopkins religious studies trials. And they're going to be talking to us about not only their experiences with psilocybin at that trial, but what they've been doing with them, with their lives and with their experiences after. So I hope you can all come and join. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones. We will continue to do this and hopefully spreading the love, the information, and the good cheer. So with that, thank you so much. Mary Ann, you're amazing. I can't wait to see you again.
Soon.
Yeah, And all you lovely folks out there in cyberspace. Wow, cyberspace, I am old. Thank you so much for tuning in with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.